Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here today. It's great to see you all. Thank you to our student body. Thank you to all our partners. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome back. I would say welcome back to everyone. It may not be your first time here. It's We're here with EBU Talks. It's been a while since our last edition. I think our last edition was in November or December, so it's been a while. And I'm very, very happy to be back because I think this is such an important series that we have here at EBU. I'm really glad that we're back, and I'm really glad that we found such a fantastic guest to kick off our 2026 season. So in just a moment, I'm going to hand everybody over to Anshu Selvamani, who is our guest for today. Before we start the meeting, I'm just going to put out a few ground rules, if you like. So first of all, I'd ask everybody, please keep your microphones on mute so that we don't have any interruptions, audio or anything like that. If you require subtitles or captions for today's session, if you go to the bottom of your screen and click More, you will have an option here to display subtitles, or you will also have a transcription. You can click on those, and then the text will appear on the screen for you. Okay. We will have an opportunity to ask questions to Anshu later today at the end of the session. But what I will ask you to do is to put your questions into the chat. It's a lot easier for us to manage that way, and it saves having too many people speaking at the same time because there's a lot of us here. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand you all over. Um, I'm going to I'll keep an eye on what's happening in the chat. So I hope that everybody has got their sound and everything is ready to go. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing I wanted to do. Um, I'd really like to try and do this. I wanted to see if I could get a picture of our meeting today, but I wondered if you guys would not mind just for a moment switching on your cameras just for a second so that I can have everybody's faces. I thought that would be really fun. Yes, Demba. Yes, Yusuf. Thank you. Yes, Irene. Thank you, everybody. Do you mind? I hope that
Yes.
you don't mind me doing this. I'm going to take a quick photo so we can see everybody so that we get a nice image that we can use to say thank you, everybody, for being here. So just give me 1 second. Let's see if I can get some more faces. Yes, fantastic. Okay, right, guys. Everybody smile. Say cheese. Okay. Got it. Wonderful. Juan, you did an excellent smile. Thank you. Okay, listen, now you can close your cameras if you like. I don't mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I'm really, really pleased that we're back here again for EBU Talks. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand you all over to Anshu. If you have any questions during the session, don't hesitate to put them into the chat and we'll deal with them a little bit later on. Okay? So, here we are. Anshu, I'm going to hand it all over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz. I'm so excited to be your guys' first speaker for the 2026 edition of EBU Talks. I will share my, Lewis, it says disabled participant screen sharing. If you could just let me share my screen, that'd be great.
Just give me a moment to do that. Okay, you now have co-host status. You should be able to share.
Um, I still can't do it. I think I'm on two, like because of my phone and the audio. Are you able to? Because I'm speaking through my phone, but then my camera is through the other one, so I might have to give it to both.
Got it. How about now? Are you able?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
So, as you all know, we're going to be discussing different emerging technologies in this talk about how you can use AI tools for different operations, whether that be early stage, idea stage, prototyping. We're going to be discussing all the different phases that you will encounter as a founder, either in your startups or your nonprofit ventures, and how you're able to fully use AI as a leveler and kind of equalize and gain more opportunities. So that's a little bit about the talk. But before that, I want to give you guys a little bit of introduction to me and why I should be giving this talk and why you should listen to me. So I have my degree in computer science, and I specialize in artificial intelligence. I've spent more than 4 years teaching these different technical topics about computer science, programming, coding, and all of those data structures, among other things. I've also been an article writer about, when AI is going at such a fast rate, the issues of representation, governance, and AI are so important. So I've been active in these spaces for about 3 to 4 years now. And apart from that, something that I'm really proud of and the most meaningful body of work that I have is I'm a founder of a nonprofit called Binary Horizons. This addresses the digital divide in countries across Africa and Asia, conducting workshops, mentorship support to enable people who are non-technical to break into the tech space because there's a lot of apprehension around tech being hard or inaccessible to underserved students across the world. So that is a little bit about me. And so now let's get into our talk, right? If you're an early stage entrepreneur, let's face it, you're the CEO, you are the marketer, you have to be designing your product. And a lot of us, especially from specific parts of the world, we don't have massive amounts of funding. We don't have access to that yet. We have to build a prototype or we have to come up with the initial, the seed before we can take it to that scale. And when you are in that early stage, there's only a lot of free resources on the internet that you can leverage. And that is what we will be discussing today. How you, as a founder, can use AI to start with your idea, your market research, and take it all the way to a product and, work with sales and marketing, all those different things. So, like I said, AI, it's very important to emphasize this. Do not use AI to copy or to replicate things, but more use it as a collaborator. I feel like with AI, you still need to be the person who's driving and, it would give you a lot of ideas, but you have to be the prime decision maker and guide it to the way that you want to use it instead of letting AI lead you. And I would always say it doesn't replace human workers, but more so it can give you 10 different hands to do multiple things that would normally take a large team to accomplish the same thing. So let's start with the first stage, right? Which is rapid market validation. We've heard a lot about this, startups failing within a few months. And sometimes it's because you're building a product that nobody wants. That's one of the main reasons startups fail. Is I've seen a lot of these trends with entrepreneurs where they first build a really cool product and they have this really cool technology, and then they think about, oh, how do we sell this? Like, what is it solving? But I think the process should be the other way around. You first think about who am I solving this problem for? And AI, before AI existed, this would take a lot of time to put together these documents, generate data and research. But with AI, you can generate these reports in less than an hour and sometimes even 10 to 15 minutes. But the reason I say an hour is because you need multiple iterations and all of these different things. But that compared to like months of work generating the same reports can be such a time saver, especially when you're in that early stage. And some of these things that I put on the screen are just to help you understand different parts of rapid market validation can include like analyzing your target market and thinking about studying the different competitors who are already existing in these spaces, trying to see what their core features are so you're able to distinguish your product, or if you're a nonprofit founder, how you're solving this problem differently, and identifying user pain points. So I did put together an example because I just didn't want to be giving you guys like just the theory aspect of it. So this is something I did, because I work in ed tech a lot, and even with my nonprofit, I'm like, okay, this is something that I would need. So generate 6 customer personas for early stage African ed tech users, including motivations, frustrations, and spending behavior. And within 5 minutes, I got these different personality types. I'm just going to be showing a few of these. Um, but this is obviously a starting point. You can kind of see what the location, the age background, the socioeconomic background, and understanding these three things, what their motivations are, what their frustrations are, kind of helps you target your product or your marketing to suit those specific groups of people. And you also have information about their spending behavior. Wanting your product is one thing, but understanding if those people are able to afford the product that you're selling them at the price point that you're setting. So some of these, you have the ambitious career switcher, you have the working class parent. The way that you would market to these two different groups, or the way that you would solve their pain points, are a little bit different, and the way that you would speak to them is totally different. So this is where AI comes and helps you because it gives you a general groundwork for understanding the different types of people who will benefit from your product and how you're able to reach out to them. Okay, so I just wanted to do a little quick demo just to show you guys a little bit about the capabilities of some of these AI tools. I know a lot of people use ChatGPT, so that's why I'm not going to focus on that. You probably use ChatGPT all the time. So we'll use Claude, and I will also show you Perplexity and a few other tools. So the prompt on the screen is about, and one thing that I will say is when you are trying to prompt AI tools into giving you a result, be as specific as you can. Like you can say the same prompt, which is converting this into a weaker prompt, right? If you say generate a market research report for eco-friendly packaging, or it's going to give you a very generic answer. But if you are able to create this level of detail, like guiding it through exactly what you want, when you're talking about the market that you want, whether that's US or whatever country, you're talking about what exactly in the report you want, like a market map, customer personas, emerging trends, white space gaps, and you want your sources as well. Always be sure to check your sources because AI hallucinations is still a limitation of AI. So let's do this. Sorry. I already had this put into AI because I don't want to waste time because this takes 5 to 7 minutes to generate. So the prompt that I showed you on screen is the one that I used, and the tool that I'm using is called Claude. And within 7 minutes, it was able to completely generate this market research report with an executive summary talking about the key findings, strategic implications, giving you a brief market overview about the eco-friendly packaging material market, um, talking about the different top players and what's their estimated market share, that what is their product. So you have all this information with you just with like 10 to 15 minutes. And the most important thing here, and just quickly, I also want to show you can also use Perplexity. It's really good for research purposes. And so going back to using prompt engineering, if you're able to generate very specific, detailed prompts, it can save you hours of time creating these detailed research reports. And some AI tools, obviously, are more better suited for research, like I was talking about Perplexity. So taking advantage of these tools, you have a good starting foundation, right? I'm not saying like that's the end and you have to believe everything. that the report gives you. But instead of having a blank slate in your head about like, where do I even start with my research? That gives you a good foundation into understanding your market segment a little bit more. So now we come to the second stage. We have validated the demand. There is a demand for your product. So how are we going to building this product? We, let's say we're trying to build the MVP, which is the minimum viable product, and we don't have a team. But the good news is the barrier to entry in today's age has never been lower, right? Because before, like a couple years before AI existed, you needed to have software engineering expertise, or you needed to know coding and all these data structures and infrastructure and all these different things. And a lot of times, if you've not been traditionally educated in these fields, it can be really, really hard and confusing to understand how to break into this, or how to use, like, even begin to start learning, even if you were to self-study, right? But now there are so many different vibe coding tools that require little to no technical experience. In a moment, I'm going to show you a chart which requires different levels of technical knowledge while using vibe coding tools. But the point that I'm trying to make here is vibe coding tools have literally reduced the barrier to entry. So if you're somebody with a great idea for either like a nonprofit, or let's say you have a startup idea and you're trying to build this product, you are able to literally give a prompt saying, oh, this is my idea. Try to give me an onboarding flow. You don't even need to think about the entire product, like the bigger version of it. You can even talk about an example prompt that I have on the screen is sketch a simple onboarding flow for a mobile app that teaches digital literacy. And when I did give that prompt, as you can see on the screen, it has this complete flow from, hey, what's the welcome screen look like, right? What is, once I register or log in, what is the next step, right? It's a quick assessment. And okay, what's the next one? Choose your learning path. And these are just very basic ideas for how the minimum viable product should look like. This is not giving you an idea of the product itself, but using tools like even ChatGPT, you're able to create a flow of your ideas. So when you're going to vibe coding, you have a better idea of what it is that your product should look like. What are your feature highlights, right? Like as you can see on the left side of my screen, what are the feature highlights that you want in this minimum viable product? What is the language selection? And then going to create an account or these different things. Okay, and as you can see, there's on the right side, there's a friendly coach avatar, a tab-based tutorial. Let's learn how to use the home button. These are some of the initial ideas that using ChatGPT, I was able to create a workflow. Okay, I want someone to use a digital literacy app, but I want it to be interactive. I want them to have a very user-friendly experience, and I want it to be easy to navigate. These were some of the features that I mentioned in the prompt itself, and this is what it came up with in 3 to 4 minutes of work. And so to the next part, now you've generated and brainstormed a little bit of your ideas, and you have a better understanding of what it is that you want your product to look like. And to actually build these products, you can use so many different vibe coding tools. And I've used this image because it clearly distinguishes what kind of technical knowledge that you need. And on the left, you can see there are apps where you need zero code, like Lovable. Lovable is one of my favorite. You just put in a prompt saying, okay, I'm going to design a healthcare AI assistant that triages symptoms and gives me an idea of what questions to ask my doctor. It can literally do that within a reasonable amount of time, and you can go back and iterate these design choices, whether that be the features or requiring your home buttons or navigation, whatever it is that you want to change. Okay, to the other part. As I was already talking a little bit about this in the beginning, as an early stage founder of a nonprofit or a startup, we have to manage so many hats. And in the current age of social media, not having a social media presence for your brand can really, really hurt your chances of gaining more opportunities. So that's why I thought it was important to also help you understand how to use AI to make content around your product or your ideas so that you're able to reach more people without spending a ton of money on marketing. You must have seen a lot of brands and influencers starting to use this passage for more organic marketing and engagement. So they're able to build a community. And I think as founders in this day and age, it's really important to lead with building a community around your idea. So with that said, 40 to 60% of their time on content. Now that's a huge number. And think about the amount of editing that you have to do. You are already working on like building your product. You don't really want to be thinking about like social media posts or like websites or descriptions, all of these things. And even if you were to keep up with the volume of content, sometimes you see podcast clips, right? There's like nine of them. How are you as one person going to compete with that, posting 9 times a day? So AI can really help with content creation in that way. Obviously, it can help you generate, it can analyze trends of social media content that's working really well. And it can give you ideas adapted to your specific product on, okay, how am I able to create a reel that is engaging, the topic is engaging, but also is rooted in something that people are already liking. So connecting trends to how how you can leverage them, but also in a meaningful way. And then the second one, obviously, research and knowledge extraction. If you are as a creator, you can obviously spend your time digging through these articles and trying to find the important information. But with AI, you're able to get the juice of that content within 2 minutes. And if, like I mentioned in one of my earlier prompts, you can ask it to cite the sources and you can click on these links to make sure that this information is right, obviously. But then now you have the juice of the content and you're able to decide how you want to leverage that content instead of going through these articles and trying to come up with that research and stats by yourself. And the third thing, if you have, let's say, an idea for a LinkedIn post, this is something that I use AI a lot in terms of content creation, is if I have ideas for what it is that I want to talk about, like summarizing an event that I attended or talking about a conversation that really inspired me, I could put in all of a brief outline of my ideas into AI and make it generate a more polished version that I'm able to use for my social media pages. And if I'm giving it a topic, let's say you want to make an AI, you want to create an AI podcast, right? And instead of starting with a blank slate, you can ask it to give you a flow of ideas for like, oh, from 1 minute to 5 minutes, you can discuss this topic. And even with that little help, you can then go into structuring your talk, your ideas so much better than if you were to start with a blank slate. Okay, so now you have your ideas written down, and a really, really good way to use AI is to help you edit your video content. And this is also like another aspect of this is a technical barrier, right? If you are not equipped with video editing skills or you're not very knowledgeable or comfortable with that, how are you still able to use this in a way that can leverage your brand, but not exactly doing that editing yourself? And the next thing to this, sorry, is to be able to repurpose this content across different platforms. And AI, this is a great way to use AI. You can film one piece of content, like let's say you're filming a podcast video, and you can turn that into 15 different pieces of content for your TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, or different things using these AI tools. And if you are an early stage founder, that is heaven sent. You're able to create a week's worth of content in just a few hours of work. Whether it in the opposite scenario, if you were to do this all without using leveraging these different AI tools, you would need an entire team to help you create this. And like I said, some of us need subtitles, accessibility, improving audio quality, And there are times where if you're just, let's say you're just shy to like do a voiceover or use your face or use your voice to put yourself out there, AI can literally help you make these, create parts of these things. And I've also mentioned a few tools. If you guys are interested, you can look these up and they will help making multiplying your content so much easier. There's like Office Clip, Runway, Descript. You should definitely look into that if you guys are very interested in content creation. And I just wanted to highlight a few of the tools. I know ChatGPT, everyone knows I'm not talking about that, but something that I really like Claude for is using it for coding, content creation, and strategy. It's very good with creating the document that I showed you, the initial document, that was created using Claude, and I really recommend it for those purposes. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight is Notebook LM, which reduces AI hallucinations by a lot because it only uses the documents that you give it to give you answers. So let's say you don't want it to use any of the outside sources or like get biased by that. You can literally upload a couple of documents to it and ask it questions just based on the documents, or even convert it into an audio podcast that you're able to listen. Like, let's say you're preparing for a talk or something, which I think these features are really important in enabling you to understand, oh, which tool, I have this task, but which tool is better suited for this task? Okay, so we've covered, just to keep track, market validation, product development, and content creation. Now, the other part of the business, let's say the boring part of the business, which is you have a lot of operations. You have to schedule stuff, you have to onboard, you have these CRM updates, and you're following up, and you have to track your finances. Oh my God, this is a lot, especially as a first-time early stage founder to be dealing with. And so there's different tools like Zapier, Make.com, Notion AI. I know a lot of you must have known Notion for its project organization capabilities, but all these tools that I've mentioned on the screen, they can help you automate these different operational tasks so that your business can run a small, like I just put an example from one of my research case studies to help you guys understand why do I even have to bother learning about automating with AI when I can just like learn to do these tasks myself. And a small business that built an AI-powered support agent resolved 70% of customer inquiries without human intervention. And so that's a lot of volume of tasks that you had to do by yourself if not for AI. So understanding what are these pain points that you have as an entrepreneur and how to use AI to solve them so that you have more time to spend on the vision of your business or your nonprofit and instead of manual repetitive tasks that you can automate. So the next stage of it is sales and customer acquisition. And this is actually a very interesting thing for me. When I was working, I've worked with so many different startups over the last 4 years being a student and doing all these different internships. And the kind of trend that I'm seeing over the years is AI can really help a lot with your outreach messages. I'm sorry, guys, just give me 1 second. I think it's me.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, just as we wait for Anshu to come back, please don't hesitate. If you have questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat and we'll put them forward at the end of the session. I hope that you're enjoying this session. I'm learning a lot. There are so many tools that she's mentioned here that I am not familiar with. So this is giving me a lot of homework to do. I hope it's the same for you guys. Vincent, go ahead as we're waiting for Anshu to come back into the call. Sorry.
I am so, so sorry about that, guys. Liz, can you give me the permission again to the
Sure.
moment?
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry. Okay, you
Awesome.
should be good.
All right, to continue with our presentation. So with the sales part of it, right? Let's say before AI existed, you kind of had to do all this research and spend hours personalizing emails and understanding what customer segment that you're speaking to. And with AI, you're able to create these 100 different outreach messages personalized to different people from a little bit of data that you're able to give it. You can even talk about script writing for calls, analyzing customer objections, and even optimizing your sales funnel. And sometimes I want to mention this customer journey mapping, right? That's a very important thing that you can use AI for because it helps you understand, because it analyzes this based on a lot of customer data and people who are interested in these products. So sometimes what I will do is analyze based on Reddit, Quora, or some social forums that have some demand about this product. So you're able to get data summaries from people who have actually been using these forums to talk about these different products or their pain points. So once you get that data, you're able to reference that when you're making these customer sales calls or different things like that. And again, as I always like to do, I wanted to give you guys some tools that you can take as homework from this call and look into them. Like, what part of the startup or the nonprofit journey are you guys on? And how will these tools help you save time, whether that be conversational AI, different chatbots, closing and following up with your leads and customers, sales enablement? So these are some ideas for you guys to go back and be like, okay, this tool works for me, this doesn't. And either way, and this is my favorite part because strategy, like I said, never use AI as to replace your human thinking process, but you can really use it to become your strategic co-founder if you use it in a correct way. You have a lot of insights that are data driven, and you're just able to click on these links to make sure those facts are right, as I've been mentioning throughout my presentation. But it can analyze risks for you, right? And it can forecast trends. And just a place that I want to highlight that uses a different machine learning techniques here. Machine learning can be really used to predict future trends. Like an example that I want to give is using machine learning models to predict F1 car race winners. And there's this basketball championship that's happening in America where they're trying to use these models to predict the outcomes of that. Those are some interesting examples, but you can also use it in whatever venture that you're trying to create to understand, okay, these are the different risks that can potentially come up. And so how am I preparing myself? So AI can really help you with these kinds of tasks. And I've focused a lot on businesses, but I also just want to give a little bit of idea for change makers because obviously I've included that in my title. And as much as I've experienced working with startups, growing my nonprofit, I really understand how AI can help me with a team of just like 5 to 6 people, but being able to create the impact that we did. And so some of these different, let's say you want to start using AI to build a product in the nonprofit space, but you're not very sure of how to get started. So I just wanted to leave you guys with some ideas. With AI, you can literally build your own mini AI tutors. You're able to vibe code different projects or language translate, or and the best use of it is personalizing it to yourself. And one thing that I've mentioned to a lot of during a lot of my workshops is you can use AI to teach you AI. So let's say you're really stuck on a concept, you can use these AI tools to be like, hey, this is what you said, but I'm having trouble with this. Or I'm using this tool and this error message popped up. How do I solve this? And what's interesting to me is that AI will give you those answers to fix the problems or these unexpected things that come up when you're learning how to use a new tool. And others, and some of you might be interested in healthcare, right? You're maybe studying biology and you want to think about how, well, I'm not studying computer science, but how can AI be relevant to me? There's things coming up in medical billing, automation, early diagnostics, different things like that, where if you're able to use agentic AI or any other AI in your workflows, it saves you so much time and money, resources. And the other thing is obviously economic empowerment. A lot of the work that I do with my nonprofit is trying to bridge the digital divide. With the age of AI, not learning how to leverage some of these tools will continue to widen the income, the economic inequalities that exist in the world. So training yourself in these tools, in these different entrepreneurship tools or technical tools, will help you keep up with that in the long run. Okay, now I have given you so much information, so many different ideas of the different tools that you can talk about, but I also want to challenge you guys to think about the ethics of this, the ethical responsibility of using AI in a way that is inclusive, also beneficial to society as a large, instead of the different harmful ways that have probably popped up on your Instagram screens. We've seen how people have been using AI for violence or abuse against women, these really horrific things. So I really also want to address the responsibility that comes with the power of this knowledge. Let's talk about it. So, why does inclusion matter in AI systems? Why is it important for large groups of people from diverse backgrounds to be educated and to be involved with AI? The first thing is if only people of a specific subgroup are working on AI, their biases will seep into these algorithmic systems, right? Because let's say women are left out of this conversation, or people of color are left out of these conversations. Then the blind spots of the developers of their backgrounds, developers with specific backgrounds, whatever inequalities already exist in society are only going to increase. So it's really important for people of diverse backgrounds and perspectives to be included in these processes from the initial stage, right? AI development, governance, in different aspects. So we are able to mitigate this bias and discrimination. And also, obviously, detecting this bias enhances accuracy for all users. I think a really popular case study from the past was using facial recognition systems for dealing with crime and different things like that. And what really happens was because the models were not well trained on people, on faces of color, so it wasn't very good at performing when they were evaluating test results. It always misidentified people of color. So it's really important to target these systems at their deployment stage so that it doesn't create more problems, tangible problems in the society. And another thing that's really important to me is inclusive AI enables greater independence for individuals with disabilities through technologies. And last but not the least, when we have more perspectives, it's very, very important driving force to being more innovative and creative. Of course, bias and discrimination are huge problems, but we also want to get more full-rounded pictures because when we're trying to build a product for someone as an entrepreneur, or we're trying to build a nonprofit to solve a problem, we're dealing with so many different groups of people. And it's important to understand and be aware of the ethical challenges so that our product does not somehow do unintentional harm to someone. And so I just want to leave you guys with a few concluding thoughts that I have. In my opinion, while there are some pros and cons to I think AI is literally one of the few technologies that can level the playing field. And I say this because of the kind of examples that I've given you of how someone with no technical experience, not a lot of funding, is able to create something without a ton of resources. So that is very interesting to me. How, like in my nonprofit, we do this all the time. Is we work with entrepreneurs from Nigeria, like a year and a half ago, and they had ideas, but they didn't have a lot of funding. But I was like, okay, here's how you try to build this product with literally two people, right? And that's so interesting to me because a couple of years ago, you would have needed a huge team and a lot of funding, and you needed to live in specific places that had access to these resources. But now you just need to be consistent, be curious, and most importantly, be resourceful. All the tools that I mentioned, there's a lot of tutorials and resources about how to use them in a technical way. And if you're stuck, like I said, take screenshots of it. Use AI to help you debug what the problem is. And that is so important to me that it's making global entrepreneurship more accessible than ever. And so before I give you guys a little bit about my foundation and contact details to reach out to me if you have any specific concerns that I can help you with, I just want to open the floor to any questions that you guys might have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anshu. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was so interesting. And I did have a question, but I think you've actually answered my question. My question was going to be, do business leaders and founders and people, people with ideas, do they need to learn coding and so on, or is it, is a general understanding enough? But then you said something, and I thought, why didn't I think of that? Ask AI to teach you how to use AI. So maybe it's that simple, in fact. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, that's really interesting because I've also learned it from one of the people that I worked with at the nonprofit. She was a business student with no technical experience, and she was trying to learn how to build an AI agent. And she was talking about there's tutorials on it, but then she got stuck on a specific technical component of it, and she was like, I don't know how to solve this. So I literally took a screenshot of it and sent it to ChatGPT and asked it what the problem was. And it gave her some ways to debug and it worked. And I was like, that's genius. I'm gonna use that in my talks. But yeah, you live and you learn.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting, isn't it? Also, the period that we live in, and I'm sure, I mean, our students here at EBU, I'm sure that a number of you who are on the call today, you are in our tech program. Some of you may be already on our data science degree. I mean, I'm sure that the majority of the people on this call today are much more comfortable with AI tools than I am. But yes, we live in a time where the answers are actually out there, and it's actually quite easy to go and get them, I guess. I'm going to go into the chat and give you a couple of questions which have come from those who are present today. First question I've got here comes from Florence, and Florence is asking, are AI demos showing reality or a carefully controlled best case scenario?
Like product demos, is that's what I'm assuming? Like what the future holds for AI or the public?
Florence, is that what you mean? Are you talking about demos for sort of future use? Is that what you mean? Florence, can you give us some?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I want to know whether it is really demonstrating the reality or, it is for future use or what are the concepts? At least let her clarify on that for me, basically.
Okay, yes. Obviously, the narratives around the future use of AI can be controlled because there's billion dollar companies behind these models that are trying to like project how AI can be leveraged or used in a specific way because it continues to create profits for them, right? So they want to amplify that AI is this really great thing that's coming to save all of humanity. But what I would say is that there is some realness to it. Like I was talking about how it can help us to bridge income inequality and address a lot of societal issues. But there's also And that I think comes with just analyzing it yourself and seeing the context of this, because sometimes, yes, sometimes the benefits are overstated because I think they want us to depend more on technologies. So they were trying to create these videos and narratives of like, oh my God, your life cannot be complete without AI. And sometimes it's important to distinguish what you really need AI for. Um, because the thing that I worry about is people having parasocial relationships with AI and different things like that because of the propaganda itself. So to just answer your question in a simple way, yes, there are some hesitations with how accurately they're depicting it. But I would say for the large part, it really depends on what it is that you use it for.
Perfect. I hope that's answered your question, Florence. I'm going to go to a question which came from Pascaline, and this is a very important question, I think. She's saying here, this all sounds so very interesting. From my experience, many startups have to think about costs. Are most of these tools free?
That's a great question. Yes and no to answer your question, but let me tell you, like, there's obviously premium versions of this which give you more like advanced results with reports, or different things like that. But the tools that I showed you for the initial research, like Claude, GPT, all of them are free. But if you're, let's say you're using it to build a product, that integrates some of these AI tools, you will have to look into something called API credits, and that would involve a little bit of money. But I would believe at that point you would find a way to price your product, so that should help you there. But for the initial stages that I've been mentioning, a lot of these tools, they have their free versions that you can take advantage of.
That's very good to know, and I think it's a very relevant question. In fact, as for particularly for new companies, new startups, where money is tight, we do have to think about how we distribute our resources. So yeah, it's really interesting. I have a question which comes from AM. I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly. I apologize if I'm not. AM is asking, which AI, I think it means which AI, will you advise that I use for scientific research or also creating good articles for publications and content creation?
Awesome. Um, I relate to this so much because being a computer science student myself, I've done a lot of research papers and different things like that. So the tool that I would recommend is Perplexity. Um, I could also just type it down if you have trouble hearing. But Perplexity is really good, especially for fact checking and research. And it gives you these sources that you can click on. And it's almost like, I would say 95% accurate, and which is by a large margin compared to the different like ChatGPT or different tools that I've used. Sometimes I get vague or hallucinations from other tools that I've used, but I would really recommend Perplexity for scientific research if you're trying to do literature reviews or analyze past articles. That would be really good. For content creation, you can look into Office Clip. It clips different content and creates that. Descript is also pretty good. So yeah, that's would be my recommendations. Do we have any more questions?
Sorry, I couldn't get my audio back. Sorry. Okay, great. Let's go and I saw an excellent question which came in from Rendani here. With the availability of these AI tools, how do you deal with privacy and confidentiality element, especially when generating new business ideas?
That's a great question. And one of the things that I would really recommend is when you're using, like, let's take a specific example, like when you're using ChatGPT and you're like giving it data or your images or different things like that, it will use your data to train the model. And so sometimes if you are discussing with it confidential ideas or private things that you do not want it to use to train the model, there's a specific setting which you can turn on which which basically what it does is it will let ChatGPT not use whatever that specific conversation is, because you can obviously add different conversations on ChatGPT, but if you want to not allow it to use your information to train its model, there's a specific setting for that that you can turn off, which a lot of people don't know, and I think the default is just allowing it to use your information. But something that I always tell the people I train with is if you're talking about like really specific, like even not just business ideas, sometimes people use their own images, right? They're uploading it. Like if you've heard of the Studio Ghibli trend, or there's so many trends, and I'm like, guys, think about it. You're uploading your images and giving it all of this private content. Do you really want this to be training your models? So yeah, definitely just to answer your question simply, there's a setting that you can find. Be sure to turn that off when you're having any sort of confidential conversations.
That's great to know. I wasn't aware that a setting like that existed, so that's great. Thank you very much for that question, Randani. I think that was a very important one. Excellent, thanks. Um, Joseph has a question here. Um, why are most, well, if you can answer this one, why are most AI tools not sold as one-time purchases? Very often they are subscription based, monthly or annual, or there is a like a free basic or paid advanced features. Is this a money-making tool?
I can only speculate, but what I think is they are constantly evolving, right? The Chat GPT model that it came out like 3.5 years ago, let's say 2023-ish. So the ChatGPT model that was available then could only reference information from up until a certain date. And now it can use the web to like pull out different information. So I'm assuming if they sold it to me as a one-time purchase, then they would have to charge less amount of money because the features were obviously less and the accuracy was less. So they're constantly evolving. So the price for that needs to match it. That's what I'm assuming.
That makes perfect sense. Yes, you probably are speculating, but once again, yes, that does sound like that seems like a logical reason why. And yes, Joseph, I hope that answers your question. I think it feels like a good answer. In fact, yeah. Thank you, Sis Joseph. Excellent. Okay. I've got one more question. This is from Florence again. What makes it difficult to demonstrate that AI can perform reliably in the real world with accounting tasks, for example, especially if there is inaccurate data, changing regulations, and the need for professional judgment in certain financial decisions? How can we be sure that AI is performing reliably in the real world?
That is such a good question. And the short answer is that's why I think it's important that I emphasize using AI as a collaborative instead of completely using it to replace human work. I think there's always an importance to having human in the loop in terms of oversight, but you're still saving time and money because it's doing this work for you. But you also need to be able to, at least in high stake situations like healthcare or like making really big financial decisions, be able to have a human somewhere in the loop that's going to review things at certain points in time. Because at this moment, to be very honest with you, there is not a way to 100% tell you if AI is being reliable 100% of the time. So I would just say being strategic and having these human loops to kind of oversight and review things different points in time, that is important because I think we still have a long way to have full AI automation, to be honest with you.
So interesting, isn't it? This is such an interesting conversation. It really is. And I'm so glad that we've got you as with your wealth of experience and information on this subject. It's really, for me personally, as a relative beginner in AI tools, it's absolutely fascinating. A fantastic question that has come in. I'm afraid the user's name is administrator, so I'm not sure their name, but the question is, what are some of the common misconceptions or misinformation about using AI tools?
Mm, I would definitely tell you guys to be aware of AI hallucinations. Like I said, using AI for research is great, but sometimes it is very prone to misinformation, right? Like, at least I can give you an example from ChatGPT itself. If you ask it a question in a specific way, it wants to cater to you. So let's say you give it some wrong information and ask it to support it with some data. What it ideally should do is tell you that that is not true, or this is whatever. But that's not what it does. Because I think it's more trying to be please you or support the user in a way. So it tries to fabricate information to support it, and then it presents that. And so sometimes I'm like, give me more information on this because that sounds a little suspicious to my human judgment. And then it would honestly tell me, sorry, that's not a specific example. I just made that up. Like I've had this happen to me so many different times, which is so interesting to me. And so I would always say like two things, right? Try to frame your prompts there in a very neutral way if you wanted to give you the most objective information. And the second thing is always ask it to cite the sources and link it. So you can always click on it and make sure that that is accurate. So something to definitely look out for would be AI hallucinations or misinformation in that regards.
Asking for sources, yes. I know sometimes I have to be honest. I'm a I'm a regular day-to-day user of ChatGPT, and occasionally it will throw up a source, but not every time. So I should make sure that I ask for that. I also wanted to say something. I don't, again, it's probably me, but maybe some of you users feel the same way. I recently had a funny experience with ChatGPT, and it's true what you just said about it. It wants to sort of please the user, and I was writing an article, and I wanted ChatGPT to improve it basically, and it always tells me this is a great start. You're doing a great job, and I always feel so good when I'm using ChatGPT because it always tells me how fantastic I am. I just think, you know, and I have to give myself a reality check and remember this is not a human. This is a tool, and it's telling me what I want to hear. So yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, another fantastic question which is coming in from the same person. Do we have unilateral, acceptable, and harmonized AI regulations across countries?
Unfortunately not. I wish we did because like I was explaining a little bit earlier, there's a lot of concerns of using AI for harmful, violent, or abusive reasons. Like for example, the European Union has some common frameworks about privacy and things like that. But because of how rapidly AI is developing, it's hard for governance bodies to kind of keep up with that because as you guys know, governance and laws and all of these different things take time. But as they catch up, AI is progressing at a higher rate. So I think that's, in my opinion, very challenging to figure out for people as governing bodies. But no, we do not have one that's acceptable across countries.
That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because I feel like, as it becomes, such an integral part of our lives, then maybe it's something that we should have a more sort of more stricter sort of regulations on. But thank you very much for that question. I'm going to go to Wycliffe's question. Hello, Wycliffe. Thank you for your question. How can AI efficiently in school environment accommodate learners with special needs?
That's a great question. I think I touched on this briefly when I was talking about why inclusion matters in AI systems, and one of it was um, being more accessible to people with disabilities. Having people with disabilities in the process when are creating deploying AI systems or different things like that, because they help us uncover some blind spots that we as differently abled people are they're living with, right? Like let's say your screen brightness or the way you're able to read things, or if you're dyslexic, different things like that. Um, and I'm pretty sure there's specific AI tools for people, like AI powered Braille learning technologies, for people who are visually impaired.
Il y a des trucs dans le bureau de Wilfried là. J'ai besoin de ça.
Sorry. There's definitely an AI-powered braille learning technologies that I've come across somewhere, but I would definitely say there's a lot of resources for autistic or neurodivergent people with ADHD because I have ADHD myself. So there's different AI tools that are being targeted for specifically those populations to help them adapt to social situations, different things like that. So I would advise you to look into that if you're interested.
Very, very interesting. I think that you did mention that before, and once again, that yes, we all have to keep in mind that idea that if AI is a constantly evolving tool, then it learns from its environment, and of course, we have to have people from every country using every language and with every different human element that we have to make sure that the tool is learning from everybody and becomes accessible to everybody. So yeah, yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Michael, for that question. Excellent. Okay. Great. Well, Anshu, I don't have any more questions in the chat. So I
Awesome. So
think that we have, looks like we have come to the end. Florence is asking, oh yes, I was going to ask you this. First of all, so our session is recorded today, so I will share this with EBU student members so that they can come back and watch it if they were not present today. But would you kindly share your slides with us so
yeah,
that I can share them? Oh, that would be fantastic. Okay.
absolutely. I think the reason I do these workshops is I want to help people gain out more opportunities, and if they're non-technical, it can be difficult. So, of course, and I will also be showing you my contact information in a little while. If you guys have questions, please. I'm chronically online and would love to support you in any way I can.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. I think there are probably lots of people. I would urge you to go and follow Anshu and follow her activities, particularly on LinkedIn, because I know you share a lot of what you're doing on there. In fact, I'm going to go. I wonder if I can just grab your. Would you mind if I do that? If I grab your profile now, and I'm just going to share it with everybody here.
Absolutely.
Um,
But I
yeah.
also just have the QR code if they want to at the end, but whatever you feel is pretty good.
Also, listen, I'm going to do it anyway, and just because it's here. Okay. Great. Okay. So listen, if we don't have any new, I tried to do it and I couldn't do it. Never mind. If we don't have any new questions in the chat, then we're going to bring our session to a close. There we go. I've done it. Um, Actually, remind me where you're joining from today.
I'm in California, so I'm in
Is
Los
it?
Angeles today.
It's
I'm on a
very,
spring break, but I'm based in Bloomington, Indiana.
and it's very early where you are, right?
Yes, it was 7:30 a.m. So
Thank
we're
you,
already
everybody. So could you all use your reaction buttons, please, to send a little thank you because she got up extremely early to be here for EBU today. So if you can all send some love hearts and some applauses, that would be really helpful. And I'm going to do a nice screenshot so that we can say, uh, so that we can add it to our screenshots. Thank you,
all right.
Miriam.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
everybody.
guys. I also just want to say, like, I put my email, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, all of it on the screen. Like I'm sharing my screen right now. If you guys have any questions or let's say you want to learn about a new technical topic, we do a lot of I have a screenshot of that. We will do a lot of coding workshops, a lot of technical AI tool workshops to help you. I've given you an overview now, but if you were ever interested in learning more about a specific tool or any of those things, we do a lot of programming around that. But you're also just feel free to email me if you guys have, let's say, a product idea and you're like, where do I start with this? I would love to help you guys. So that's all that information on the screen for you.
Awesome. That's really, no, it's great. It's really, really important as well. So, okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm trying to take pictures of all of these fantastic responses that we're getting. I'll share it all with you a little bit later on. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. I've thoroughly enjoyed the session this afternoon. I genuinely thought today that I was actually going to be quite lost following you because this is not my area of expertise, but it's really not the case. So I want to say thank you very much for your approach. Thank you very much for your for the way that you presented this and made it so accessible to all of us. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really useful. Thank you so much. And I'm sure there are lots of us here in the session today because what's really cool is that today, I think all of the people who joined the session stayed until the end, and that's really, really great. I'm quickly going to send out a quick attendance poll for everybody. So guys, just let me know if you are here today. Please let me know that you are here in the chat. What I'm going to also do is send to everyone who's present here today. I'll send you a recording of today's session. I'll send you Anshu's slides as well so that you can review the information that's been shared, take a look at those tools, which are so very important. I'll also be sending you a quick feedback form as well, just to ask you, just to get your feedback on how today was organized and how you enjoyed the session and to know what you would like next. And on that subject, I'm not sure if she was able to make it today because I know that she was traveling, but is Sarah in our meeting today? I'm looking for Sarah Munier if she's here. I don't think she was able to make it. I don't think she's here. No, it's a shame. So our next session of EBU Talks is going to be taking place on the 10th of April. So this is a note for your diaries. I'll be sharing it with you all very shortly. So this is in 3 weeks' time, where we will be talking to our special guest, Sarah Munier. Sarah will be coming to do a special session with us on, I can't wait for this, public speaking and how to upgrade your skills as a public speaker when you are presenting in every scenario. So I'm very much looking forward to sharing that with you. Sarah's a fantastic lady. Once again, I'm going to share her LinkedIn profile. I'll share her details with you. So I hope that everybody will be present to join us for that session. Anshu, once again, I want to thank you sincerely for your support today, for being here and for waking up so early to come and present to us all. From my perspective, I had a fantastic time. So thank you so much. And the comments speak for themselves here. Everybody said they've really, really enjoyed it. Lots of thank yous. Might have a couple of questions that I'm going to send to you as well, that we didn't have time for today. But yes, it's been fantastic. So we want to thank you sincerely. And hopefully we'll see you again at EBU. I know that we're going to extend some scholarships to Binary Horizons too, which is really exciting. So hopefully we'll have some of those students on EBU programs, and perhaps some people who are here today that would like to be also to go and investigate what you're doing at Binary Horizons too. So again, I'll share the details in a follow-up email with all of that. Okay.
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I just had this huge access to this huge community here, and all of you guys had fantastic questions. Really helped me even think about some of these topics myself, and it's been such an honor to be able to speak with you guys. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. Come back when you like. We'll have you back. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Thank you. I would like to wish you all a very pleasant afternoon, evening. I think it must be more or less the end of the day for most of you, with the exception of Anshu, and wish you a pleasant weekend, and good luck in your exploration of AI tools, because I'm pretty sure that we're all going to start straight away after today's session. So thank you so much, everybody. I'll leave the meeting open for the couple of minutes in case you would like to leave any more comments, any more questions that I can share. But that's it from our side. Thank you so much, Anshu. Oh, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Wishing you all a really, really pleasant Friday, and I'll look forward to seeing you all soon.